Karen Combs, and welcome to a special edition of my FlossTube. This is FlossTube 18, but we're not going to do what I normally do. Before I get into what we are going to do, I just want to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining me. Those of you that have subscribed, thank you so much. Those that haven't, just click on that subscribe button and you'll be notified when there's a new video. And thank you for all of you that have liked the video too. Thank you for that. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about quilting. I talk about sewing, quilting tips, talk about cross stitch. And this is the FlossTube portion of my video, of my YouTube channel. I've got a whole pile of things here, and I kept fussing around with it and checking the background, and I thought, oh, just get started. It's like fussing with my hair, and I've been out working in the garden, and it's like, just go for it. Just do it. So I want to welcome you again. Thank you for joining me. Normally, when I do a floss tube, during the 2 or 3 weeks between my floss tubes, I usually take notes, something like this, just on a notepad, of anything I'm thinking of talking about, maybe questions that came up. And I have a whole list. There were some demos I was going to do, and I thought, I'm going to save that for the next video, because I have been watching all of the WIP parades, and I was resistant to do one. But then I've enjoyed them so much, and I've seen other people say, thank you for doing that, and I've loved watching them. I thought, okay, I'm going to join on in, and you'll see some things you've seen, maybe way back, and you'll see some things that I haven't shown. So what I want to start with, and a WIP, those of you that may be new, a WIP is a work in progress. In quilting, we usually say a UFO, an unfinished object. But in cross stitch, we use the word WIP, or work in progress. So I have my WIPs. And the other day I was meeting with the little stitching group. We have 5 or 6 ladies that meet once a month at a local coffee shop. And one of the ladies asked me, how many projects do you have? And I actually didn't know, because I have finished some and I've started a couple, and I just guessed. I said, I think I have 12. And I actually don't have 12. Maybe I do. I don't know. We'll have to count. I think I have 10. But the oldest WIP, and this is what got me started on this, a couple weeks ago, Colorado cross stitcher Sherry, who I have loved her floss tube. I have been basically following her since she had her Loopy U knitting shop, and actually met her at market when she was purchasing fabric for the Loopy U in their quilting section. But she has a wonderful newsletter, and in the newsletter she had written things, I can't remember the exact title, but something about things that are different from when we first started doing cross stitch years ago to now. And I'm not going to give the list, but there was one thing on there that I just chuckled at, because when we were doing cross stitch years ago in the 80s, we didn't have project bags. We usually had a tote bag, and I just laughed because this is my oldest WIP. Now, I started sewing, knitting, embroidery, quilting when I was a teenager in the mid-70s, a long time ago. And it's, for those of you that are younger watching this, you're thinking, I'll never get that old. One day you'll wake up and you'll think, I was a teenager 50 years ago. And then you just have a heart attack thinking, has it been that long? But it has. But I started doing all kinds of handwork when I was a teenager, and moved into cross stitch in the 80s, like many people did. And I also worked, I have a degree in library science, so I was a school librarian, worked on a bookmobile, worked in a city library, state library, worked in government documents. That was not fun. Oh, categorization and the papers, and that was not my favorite. But I was also a school librarian, and they sent us for something, probably a conference we had to attend. This is my library bag. This was my cross-stitch bag back in the 80s. And it's like a time capsule because I have a project in here. But what I wanted to show you is this little booklet, which I'm glad I found. This is from the 80s. But what's nice about it, it has the count and how it looks, how to do it, needles, and how to start to stitch, which I don't start like that anymore. I don't start in the middle anymore. How to take your first steps, just all kinds in this little booklet of things in here. Advanced techniques, linen. That was in the 80s. That was an advanced. This was from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine. And right back then, Ada, you could get 15 colors of 14 count Ada, 12 by 18 each for $17.97. Get that. So, and I purchased this frame too, which I'll show you, which it was $19, $20. So that was a lot in 1982 or 3 or whenever that was. So that was in this bag, but here's the project, which it has been in this bag and I have not worked on it probably till from the mid-80s. And I'll tell you why in a minute, but I still love it. Here it is. And one of the things Sherry mentioned when we were cross-stitching in the 80s is we had one project in our one tote bag that we worked on that till it was done, and then we got another one. So this is from, it's called Country Home, Paragon Needleworks. Probably bought it at, yes I did, Frank's Nursery, which was in Lansing, near Lansing, Michigan. And they had a needlework section, and I paid $14.99 in probably 84, 85 for this. And I don't think it had the DMC, but I thought you'd like to see that we didn't even have Ziploc bags at that time. Here's my floss in a sandwich bag. Oh, that's pathetic. But that's what we had. And I want to show you the label. Look at how the labels are a little different. And there's the label. So I'll keep these together because these colors may not be the same colors as they are now, but I wanted to show you my progress on my oldest WIP from 1986 or 87. It must be 87. And I'll show you why I know that in just a minute. Here it is. I think it's on 14 count Ada. So that's where I'm at. And I was looking at the back. I'm really quite proud of my back. Look at that. Remember how I said I hate 2 strands? Well, this was done with 2 strands. And so obviously at some point, let me stand up, I didn't mind it. And I did okay. So I'm not sure why I don't like it now. I did then, but this was on, and I took it off so I could show you, but this was on this frame, which now it has a lovely patina. You would sew your needlework on here and roll it up. So it's been on this ever since, like maybe that's why it's in such perfect condition, from 1987. What is that? 30, I have to do math real quick, 35 years ago? Well, the reason I know it's from that, because here it is. This is Bill's frame, the original copyright, which actually probably should be trademark. Bill's frame is trademarked, 1987. Do any of you have this? Came with 2 bars. I'm using the larger one. And it's wonderful. Of course, they don't make it anymore. But that has been on there ever since, and now the wood has just this most gorgeous patina, so I'm thinking of actually putting something else on it. So that is my oldest WIP from 1987. And let me move these things so I don't trip over it. So why'd I stop? Well, in the 80s, my kids were little. Our daughter was born in 1980, our son in 83. So my kids were little. And I was doing that, but I was also quilting. And I started developing a beginning quilting class in about 1986, 87 at the same time. And started teaching that in 1988. And taught all around our area in Michigan for 2 years, and then we moved to Tennessee in 1990, and from there I started teaching locally and then to guilds in the area, and then pretty soon when our kids were older, in high school, I started traveling to guilds around the United States, writing books, designing fabric, and so that's why I stopped cross-stitching, because I was so busy with quilting and family and kids and the whole thing. I could only concentrate on quilting, which I love and I still love, but stitching went by the wayside. So why'd I pick it back up again? Well, when I was on the road so much, now I'm doing virtual classes, but I was traveling 20, 25 trips a year, every year, for decades. And I would take knitting with me because you couldn't really take a sewing machine along with everything else. And I'd maybe do some hand piecing or English paper piecing. But mostly I was knitting because I could sit on the airplane with my bag, which had a clear front, with the instructions and sit and knit, and everything was just right there on the tray on the plane and, knit away. So I did that, and I could sit at night at the hotel after teaching or after doing something at Quilt Market and sit and relax and knit. So I did that for a very long time. And then in about 2016, I saw an old embroidery kit, Elsa Williams, and I didn't pull that out. I'll have to find that. But I bought it on eBay, and it was in fine condition, and I started working on that. And I thought, I miss stitching. So I worked on that some. But what really started me going was in 2019, I saw on Instagram somebody talking about a black work. And if you saw my first video, I think, first FlossTube, I talked about this. But I decided to join in on this black work stitch along, which was for a year. So it would have been of the year of 2020, which at that point in 2019, when I'm putting everything together, I had no idea what 2020 would be like and what would happen. So I thought, I want to do that. And that was with Peppermint Purple, who still is doing stitch-alongs and has wonderful designs. So I decided, remember what I just showed you, the 14 count Ada, I thought, I'm going to do 18 count. And so here it is. That's what I did in 2020. Of course, when we started it, 2020 was normal. And then in about March, it wasn't normal anymore. So I worked on that and I enjoyed it. So that's 2020. And also pivoting my quilting to virtual took a lot of time because we had to do new videos, working with guilds, setting everything up. So I was pretty busy with that and did the virtual teaching, still am. But in 2021, I thought I'm going to do another, this is 23, it was 2022. Thought I'm going to do another stitch along, but I've been seeing some things on Instagram about cross stitch. And I used to do cross stitch and I liked cross stitch, and I pulled out the old WIP I showed you and I thought, I really don't want to work on that because I've been seeing people doing things on linen, and there's new designers and there's hand-dyed floss and all those things. And it was, I can tell you exactly when, it was March 2022. So not even 2 years ago, not even a year and a half ago, I got back into cross stitch. And this is my first thing I ordered because I saw people doing things and I went to 1, 2, 3 Stitch and ordered, because I thought, well, I'll just order, and you're all gonna laugh, I'll just order one chart and the floss and the chart and the linen, because I want to try linen. It looks hard. Is it hard? I don't know. I want to try it. So I ordered that, and I thought, I'll just do that. Well, that started everything. But this is the very first thing I worked on, my very first WIP from 1987 till 2022. There was no cross stitch. Here's the first one. Plum Street, Flag Flock. I loved it. I just thought it was beautiful. And there's the floss. I didn't even know about thread drops or anything. I put, here's the floss, here's the hand-dyed, which is mostly weeks. And then I've got the DMC in that. I didn't know about floss drops yet, and I haven't really changed it. I just kind of left it like that. But here it is, and I thought I'm going to do linen, and I'm going to do 36 count, because 40 was scary to me. I thought I can do 36. I think I can do 36. Here it is. This is how far I am. And there it is. So that I was working on, and I have that in my Wishing Thorn project bag. A William Morris design. That's from the Wishing Thorn. So I worked on that. I ordered that in March and worked on that pretty much for, I don't know if it was just a month, but I didn't even know about FlossTube. Did not know about it. And at the same time, I had told you about this. I was dealing with a knee injury, so doing a lot of physical therapy at home, exercising to strengthen the muscles. Oh, I did not tell you what this was on. Let me back up. I am sorry. This is on 36 count vintage country mocha. So I was doing a lot of exercises at home every day to strengthen the muscles, hopefully to avoid surgery, which I did not, but the surgery was much easier after all that exercise. But anyway, every day I was doing physical therapy and exercising. And that gets pretty boring. And I thought I could listen to a book on tape, but then I saw FlossTube. And I thought, well, that makes the time that I'm doing all this exercise easier. And that started as I watched FlossTube. I'd stop it, go to 1, 2, 3 stitch, put what I saw in my wish list, go back to the exercise. So I don't know. There was some stopping and starting there. But I was working on Flag Flock, and I thought, well, that's, just like before. I'll just work on that one project, and when I'm done, I'll do something else. Well, then I saw several people, and I think it was actually Sherry at Colorado Cross Stitch. She showed this, the Houses of Hawk Run Hollow, which I just fell in love with. And there's a lot of colors. I don't know if there's 26. Oh, it's 2 pages. There's a lot. And I thought about trying silk, but I thought I don't want to spend the money for all of those if I don't like silk. And remember, I'm brand new back to this. So I thought I'll get the DMC because I can go to our local Hobby Lobby, get the DMC. So I did. And again, I still don't know about floss drops. I don't know about any of that. So here's all of my DMC separated by, 200, 300, etc. And then I put it on, and actually this works out pretty well. Put it on these, although right now it looks like kind of a mess. But put it on these with the numbers so I could see it, and then when I needed some more, I put it on there. But you'll laugh, here's my project bag. It's one of my knitting bags. that I had, because I saw people with project bags. I thought, I don't need to buy that. I've got all these knitting bags I'd use on my traps. And I just realized I do have a floss ring in here. And look at these pair of scissors I just found. I like those. Where'd I get those? How come I didn't remember that? All right, those are going to the side because I'm going to use those. But let me show it to you. So I started working on the houses of Hawk Run Hollow before I finished Flag Flock. And I'm doing it on 40 count platinum Newcastle. So I thought 40 count. I was doing fine with 36. I thought I'll do 40 count. So let me show you what I have. Because I worked on this until, worked on this quite a bit between the two. A couple of months, I think. Because every one of these houses, maybe I'm just slow and maybe I'm getting faster now, but every one of these took me a month. Well, here it is. I love it. Absolutely love it. I've got 3 done and I'm just starting on the bottom of the 4th. And of course, while I was working on this, I thought, well, I like and I did not know how long these would take, which is fine because I love them and they're beautiful. And it's also about the process and the project and the finished object. But it's also about the process. So as I was working on that, I thought I'm also going to order Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow, which here that is, and at the same time ordered the same color linen, so I had it, which I haven't started on this yet, but I've got the linens, so then I can work on them. But that was my second project, and oh, I love these. I just love them. There we go. So I worked on that last summer. And for some reason, it just feels like a fall project. That I don't know why. Now I've got this huge basket to show you. So worked on that. Ended up having some knee surgery, which wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, which was good. Recovered pretty quickly. Still continuing with the exercise to keep the muscles strong, and started a floss tube. And that was last fall. So remember, I just started cross stitch last March. So just in a few months, that's where I was. Started floss tube because I just had to. I just felt a need to. And I had ordered some things from the attic after watching their floss tubes. And I saw Jean showing Harriet Salt on 56 count. And I thought, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. So I called and had her send me. She recommended, well, she sent several hoops, but I really enjoy using this one. It's 3-inch spring frame. Let me put it there we go. And I can isolate a letter or two and work on it. So this is on, and now I need to get my notes. Harriet Salt is on 56 count weeks parchment. And I am using 103, the darker red, which is 335. I'm also using Swasserfine. And I had Jean send me both. This is Swasserfine $24.99. I had her send both because I was new. I wasn't sure which I wanted to work on. And she said, that's personal choice. Try both if you want. I also had her send me the size 10 beading needles. So these are the 2 silks I'm using. And this is the first time, yes, first time using silk, which I love. So here it is, Harriet Salt. You can see I'm plugging away at it. There we go. Now what I've done is the darker red is with the 103, and I'm doing my initials. So the first line are my initials, and then I skipped the second line. Third line, I'm doing my husband's initials. I'll probably skip another line, do each of our children. But you say, it's a big piece of linen, and this is on 56 count, so it's a big piece. So I grab this every once in a while and do a couple of letters. I thought if I do a couple letters every couple weeks, it'll get done someday. So I am right here on the third line, but I absolutely love this. And I have this in my PT bag. I think this is Blackbird fabric. That's the project bag. Let me set that down. So that I started, I know when I started it, it was sometime, I think October, because I was going to talk about frames that I like using in my second or third floss tube, and I thought, well, I better try this and get going. And once I did, because I was kind of scared of that 56 count, once I started, I thought, it's fine. It's fine. I used my higher power readers and a good light, and it was fine. So that is, let's see, where are we at? 1, 2, is only 3? 1, 2, 3? Yeah. Wow. Well, not the first one, but that's 3. All right. So, and I do have some finishes in there, which we're not going to talk about in this video. This is just WIPs. So that leads me to January, when I decided, January is my birthday month, I decided to do 6 starts in my birthday week of January, because I was going to be 66. And I thought, I'm not doing 66 starts, I'll do 6 starts. So I had seen this at, went to Sampler Symposium at the Attic in January and bought quite a few different projects and kitted up things, but I saw this by the Scarlet House, Bonnie's Bittersweet, and just loved it. The sample was there in a case, and I just loved it. So here are the flosses. They are mostly weeks and a couple of classic color works. Let me get here. What floss drop do I have on now? The one that I made. And let me just, so here are the flosses. Now I changed, you see the coverlet? That's using, I think it's gunmetal, but to me, here's gunmetal. Here's gunmetal. It's kind of a dark blue. I wanted it to be a little lighter blue, so I switched it to this Old Blue Jeans. So I'll show you the progress. And on that birthday start, I just worked one day starting 6 different projects. So this one just has one afternoon's work on it. And I started at the bottom. And this one is on, let's see, where is it? Fiber on a Whim 40 count stone using the called for 1/2. So here's the start right there. So this is a pretty big piece of linen, which I didn't want to cut it, but I'll have plenty to do other things on. So it's just a little one, but I thought it looked so pretty in there. And here it is. So I started that in January. And also another birthday start. Did I show? I did not show the project bag. Well, no, I can't reach it, so put it over on a chair right back there. This is another one of those birthday start. This isn't a project bag that I made. Using some William Morris fabric. Love this inside. So this is another one of those birthday week starts. And those of you that have watched some of my floss tubes know that I really enjoy coffee. So this one is Coffee Quaker by Heartstring. Let's see, Heartstring Samplery. Yes, Coffee Quaker. It's on R&R. 40 count stars hollow, called for hand dyed. And I love, look at the little floss drop, all coffee. So here's the colors. Let me show you here. There's the colors. And again, this was just one afternoon working on it. So I started up here in this corner. And I love the coffee bean needle minder. So there it is, just a little start, because I wanted to get these. Well, I started 6, and I think I've finished one. I took apart, did not finish it. One I did finish, one I'm in the progress, so finished one. So what are we up to? Should be counting 1, 2, 3, 5. We're at 5. Oh, don't fall. Took me a little while last night to organize all this and iron all this and get it all ready and then pull the information out so I could tell you what it was. Now this one, actually I should show you this one because this was a birthday week start in January. We got this project at Sampler Symposium. This will be out, I believe, next January or in early next year. This is Hands Across the Sea, Sarah Milthrop, 1834. I know if you've watched some of the FlossTubes, you've seen this, but I did start this in January. The called for is, I think, creme brulee, but I am doing it on 40 count. Let's see, I restarted it on 40 count. No, let me back up. Originally, I was working on 40 count creme brulee, switched it up to 46 count Thornfield by Needle and Flax. Let me show you the silks. Here are the silks. This is just in one of the little lipstick holders I get on Amazon. I think there's a link in one of my previous videos for this. But it keeps everything so handy so I can just see it as I'm sitting here working on it. And here it is. This is on. I know it's like, would you show it already? This is in my PT bag. And decorated with this little strawberry that I believe it was Joe gave me at Sampler Symposium. Thank you, Joe. I love that. That was so kind of you. Here it is. Why do you get all these threads right here? Okay, I see. It's one that I pulled the needle out. So here it is. There we go. So I've got the top portion. I got to do that little corner right there and got to do the border, but this is on 46 count Thornfield. So I love how that is looking. I should be counting. What is that, 5? I don't know. I'm not going to count. I think I have 10. I don't know. Let's go with that. I think that's the ones for the birthday start. This one and that restart on Sarah Milthrop, I started it in January and did not like how it looked and restarted it in March. This one I started in May after going to the Homespun Gathering up in Clarksville. Nicola was there, and so was Catherine Littleton. Several other people were there. Were there other designers? No. Let's see, where is that? Kathleen and Cross Stitch Antiques. I think it's Kathleen. Yes, Kathleen Littleton was there. She had the original sampler. This is the Carter House sampler, 1817. Now, the original sampler is at the Carter House, and I bought this kit at the Carter House, and it was packaged with 28 count Vintage Meadow Rue by Lakeside. And here, but the sample that I saw that Kathleen had was a little bit lighter, so I decided to change the linen. Plus I wanted it to be a little bit smaller count. So this is on 36 count weeks parchment. And this, here's the floss. I think this is done with DMC. I have that on. I made this floss drop. Let me see, do I have the... Yeah, here it is. Sorry, I thought I was organized. Here's the thread. Right here. There we go. There's the thread. DMC. But the colors on this are... They have a modern feel to me. I just loved it. It's elegant. It's a little funky. It's beautiful. And the Carter house is just 25 minutes up the road from me. So this was actually done by, is it Mary Carter? I'm going to talk about this at another time. Yes, it was Mary Atkinson. Talk about this at another time and might even take you on a field trip up there to see the Carter house and the log cabin where Mary was. That's kind of in my plans for later. But here it is. I mean, look at this border. It's like, I'll just keep meandering. I'll do some letters, and then I'll do some more border. But I love the colors on this. Mary was 12 when she did this. I mean, that teal is almost, teal with the gold is almost a modern color combination. So that is another WIP I have, the Carter House Sampler. And then, I don't know, I just had to do it. 2 weeks after starting the Carter House, I started another one. This is by the Draw Thread Stars. Again, got this at the attic, loved it. I really like houses. And this one I did kit with silk, dinky dye, and it's 32 count Lugana Stormy Night. Now 32 count should be, yeah, it's right on the cusp there, should be two strands. And I started doing 2 strands, I didn't like it. So I switched to 1 strand, and the dinky dye is a little bit thicker. There's the colors. So actually the coverage is good on this with, my needle's caught, just a minute, with the 32 count. And I'm almost done. I've got some specialty stitches and some leaves to do, and that's about it. I love that little village down there. Just have some leaves to do and some specialty stitches. You can kind of see I've done a couple of them. So this one shouldn't take me too long to finish. I just need to set it out and get to it. This one is also in my another PT bag. I think that's, again, Blackbird fabric. So that is Stars, 32 count, Stormy Night, Lugana, 1 strand over 2 using dinky dyes. Like I said, I thought the coverage was good. And that's what it recommended in the pattern. So that's what I did. Did not trust it. Did 2. 2 was too thick, plus I didn't like working with 2. And then I thought, when in doubt, look at the pattern. So I have 2 more to show you. This is, and did I not write this down? Yes, I did. This is what I've been working on a lot. I started this about 3 weeks ago. And it just is such a fun summery stitch. And because there's a lot of fill-in, it's great when I am going somewhere and sitting and talking, because I can sit and fill in and don't have to count. This is Plum Street, Live on Little. There it is. And this is done on 40 count Lakeside Vintage Maritime using DMC and the called for overdyes. This is really nice palette here. And I love this floss drop. Little whale. This is by Samplings of Memories, I think. Did that. Look at the little whale and the sailboat. So here it is, and that's in my Joyful Stitching project bag. And this is a big one. Like I said, I've been working on it about 3 weeks, and I'm really pleased with my progress here. I've changed up some of the threads so they'd show up better on my linen. Oh, look how pretty that is. Yeah, I started at the top and then kind of meandered down to the bottom because I was concerned that when I cut my linen, I didn't have enough, but I did. So here it is. And I changed the bird to a little darker, changed the star sun there to a little darker. Also changed the church to a little darker. I love how the mortar changes those bricks because they start out one way and then you fill them in with the mortar and it just, let me go close up. Look at that. So that's Live on Little, which I am just loving that. So I'm going to keep working on that because it's summer right now. It just feels like I'm sitting at the lake, which I'm not. But it feels like I'm just sitting at the lake working on it instead of sitting in my sewing room working on it. So I have one more to show you. And this is, I was resistant for this, but I am so glad that I started it. This is Harriet Campbell, 1838. And like I mentioned before, there's Stitch Along on Facebook for this. The chart has been divided up into 15 sections. So it's a 15-month stitch along. And I thought, well, that's doable because I'll just work on that little bit for a few days and then can set it aside and work on something else. It is, I kitted it up with the Called For Silks. This is another one of those lipstick holders. But I can just set this right at my table and there's all of the silks. And I am using 46 count, just the ticket. Now I have this in a hoop because I gotta move that thread there. And I didn't want to undo my needle. I'm just moving this because it's a little bit intricate. And I was like, show it already. All right, there's a little bit of over one. Sorry, my phone's ringing. There is a little bit of over one. I have ordered the Swassifine for the over one, it's not in yet. These are 103. So I'll be using Swassifine for the over one, but I already started it with a 103. I'll show you that. I have a plan for that, but here it is. So Harriet Campbell. And what I am enjoying about this is that when you look at the whole thing, it looks daunting. But we aren't working on the whole thing at once. We're working on a little section at a time. And this border is so much fun. And then you do each little motif, which is fun. And then this has been fun. And then each part has been enjoyable. And what I like about the borders here is they make sense. So you can get in a rhythm with it. So I am finding it's hard to put down. Now I decided while I'm waiting on the Swassifine, I went ahead and did one of the over one letters right here. And in another video, I'll talk about, I'm just going to move that needle, talk about why I have 2 needle minders and what I'm doing, and that'll be a demo. But I just wanted to move that out of the way. Here's the letter. I went ahead and did the full cross with the 103. Now, it is a little thick, but I did it on purpose. First of all, I wanted to just get started on the over one because I was a little nervous, but it was fine. It was really fine. And you can see on the chart here, there we go. The letters go all the way around, so I thought I'll do this one, this one, this one. At each corner, I'll use the 103, so it's thicker. And then I'll use the Swazerfine for the other ones. But I started to do the half cross, the tent stitch. But it was okay to, I didn't have a problem with the full cross, so I just went for it. Even though it's thicker, I do have a plan for that. So that is Hannah Campbell. Did I say Harriet? I was thinking of Harriet Salt. Maybe I didn't. Hannah Campbell. Didn't want to take it out of the frame because, or the hoop, because what I'm doing is I'm just working on everything in here till I move it. And then I'll move it to another section. But there's a lot right in there. And as I said, don't look at the whole thing and become overwhelmed. You're just working on one little part at a time. And once you get started, they're really quite fun. And I have that in my very favorite Stitch Folk tomato bag. I'm so happy I got one of these. So those are my WIPs. That's it. And did you count? I don't know. I think there's 10. Maybe there's 11 with the one from a long time ago, which who knows what I will do with that. But that is my little WIP parade. Started from March 2022 till now. That's what I've been working on. And I have, I think, 4 finishes, which I've shown before. We'll look at those at the end of the year because I have something else that's going to the framers that's there right now. And if I get it together and just finish this, that can also be a finish. So I'll keep working on that. But like I said, I was resistant to do a WIP parade because I don't have that many, and I haven't been back to cross stitch for very long. But I thought, people are enjoying them. They're inspiring. They're inspiring to me. I love seeing what people are doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I hope you have enjoyed this little special edition of my FlossTube with the WIPs that I have, my works in progress. So I think that's it. I'm going to sign out. What am I going to work on today? I don't know. I think I might work a little bit more on Hannah Campbell, or I might work on Live on Little. So I don't know. I worked in the garden a lot this morning, and I just feel like maybe something soothing, so it might be Live on Little. You saw some pictures in the intro. I've been canning, been working in the garden. It's summertime, so I've been doing all of those things. My husband's been playing golf and working, and I'm getting ready for some more virtual teaching that I'll be doing in the fall. So there's a lot going on. So Live on Little might be what I do. So now I'm rambling. So I'm going to sign off. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed the WIP parade. And in the comments, how many WIPs do you have? If you want to share that. And you can, if you have a lot, you can share what you think the number is. You can share what you've just started this year, whatever you want to do. And one of the things that I found helpful when you saw me looking down, this is my book of days. This is my book of days. And I added the comb binding to it and added some extra pages to it. And I have my starts. So I have everything listed, except now I see that I did not put the linen for the Houses of Hawk Run Hollow, so I'm going to write that down. And so I've filled up that page, and now I'm starting on the next page for this year. So actually I've got what I did last year, what I did this year. You can see here I've just done that. So that way I can keep track, because, oh, it's easy to forget. You think, ah, remember, no need to write it down. I need to write it down. So, okay, that's it. Thank you for joining me. I'll be back in a couple weeks, and for a regular FlossTube where we'll look at what I'm working on. I've got some demos to show you. I've got all of these things to talk about, plus more, I'm sure. So that'll be the next FlossTube. And I didn't say what this date is. I keep forgetting because I didn't write it down. This is July 26th. And I'll probably upload this to upload either tonight or tomorrow. So almost August, soon, next week, right? Yeah, next week, August. So where's the summer going? All right, that's it. I'm really stopping rambling now. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, I want to say happy stitching and be well. Bye, everybody.